Hi, thank you for joining me again on this series on Housing O. And if you haven't watched a previous video, please go watch our introductory video. It's important to understand what that we're trying to work on solutions, and that introductory video is a good way to understand what I'm doing in this series. And let's now begin on this first solution that I think is very important in order to deal with the homelessness crisis. So what is this solution? Well, before I introduce you to this solution and get to that, I would like to tell a story, because this will make you understand why I think this is very important. There is a lady I know who, I'll use a pseudonym, Martha, who was trying to get a house. She worked really, really hard. She's a teacher, and she does not have connections. She doesn't have parents, and the parents are, so she doesn't have any much connections to wealthy and well-to-do people. And her credit is not good. But she has income. She has a job that pays her a sufficiently good income, and she's able to afford a rent of $1,500 a month. She finds out that her friend got a mortgage, and the mortgage is about $850. So she thinks, oh, I can get a house too. She goes to the bank, tries to apply for a line of credit that she'll be able to use to get her first house. And the bank says, no, you are not eligible for this. You don't even have a large deposit. You don't even have enough money. So we're not going to give you this. When you have too much bad credit, you have a lot of student loans, you have credit card debt, we cannot give you a loan. We don't think you'll be able to pay back this money. Now, if you're thinking like the way I'm thinking, that she cannot get an $850 mortgage, let's say, when she can afford to pay $1,500 rent. If you're thinking the way I'm thinking, you're probably thinking, this is ludicrous. In other words, it's not fair. So the solution is you have to decouple credit from income when you're buying your first house. Why? Because a house is inelastic. In other words, you need a house. I mean, nobody's going to say, I'm going to remain. I mean, most people are not going to do that unless there's some sort of issues, and say, I'm going to remain in a house so I can save money. You need a place to live at. Therefore, in this situation, in Martha's situation, the solution, and there are many situations like this in the United States and other countries where people are not able to get housing because they don't have good enough credit, or sometimes they don't have a large enough income, or not income, I would say deposit rather, and therefore they cannot afford to get a mortgage, even though the income, they can afford rents that are higher than mortgages. And this doesn't add up. Now, the way decoupling, I'll tell you the way government and banks can work together. These are stakeholders involved, the government, the banks, and people are looking to buy homes, how they can work together to make sure that more people have access to housing. Governments would guarantee mortgages for first-time home buyers, sort of like the way student loans are guaranteed. So as long as you have income, you would be able to go to a bank and apply for your first-time home mortgage. It should not involve a lot of paperwork. It's just verifying that you have income, maybe asking for your taxes. And it should also involve maybe lawyers to make sure that you get your proper title deeds, real estate agents to help you find a house. And that will give you a line of credit based on your income. Once you purchase the house, the deposit, the government can cover part of the deposit. In situations of student loans, there's what is known as, in America, we have what is known as Pell Grants. which cover part of your tuition and fees. Mortgages would work the same way. Part of it would be covered by the government. Banks would lend at a flat interest rate because if that loan is guaranteed, it's not risky. So the banks shouldn't need to have a higher interest rate in that situation. You would also need to put your own deposit down. Maybe you can do so if you wanted to reduce the amount you're paying, but you shouldn't have to do that. That's how the system would work. This system is very important because if you default on this loan, if you fail to pay your mortgage, then you wouldn't be forced out of your house because you've not been able to pay the bank. The bank would go to the government and collect that money, and then the government would have to pursue you. And of course, the government would not be able to take away your house. So this system of taking away your house was happening in 2008, 2009 to a lot of people. Many people became homeless because of this situation. So that is basically how it would work. And it would help a lot of people, like people in Martha's situation, and others, who may be in situations where they have enough income, they can pay rent, they want to own a house, but because of their credit, they're not able to do so. So in a situation like Martha's, what would happen is Martha would have been able to go to the bank, shown that she's able to pay $1,500 rent, show her tax returns, and that's it. Then they just begin working out the paperwork. Maybe some lawyers are involved, maybe some real estate agents are involved in looking for a house. And that's it. Less paperwork, no credit being checked because it's her first house that she will be living in. And that would have been it. She would be housed. There are too many situations where people are renting. And, when you rent, the disadvantage is that at any point you could lose that housing. Maybe you're not able to pay, or maybe the landlord sells the building. There's so many ways people become homeless. Sometimes the price of housing just goes way up. This is a situation in New York City, in San Francisco, in Los Angeles. There are a lot of people in New York City. There are a lot of working unhoused. They work, but they're unhoused. They have nowhere to live at. They have no address. So that's the situation we're in right now. And that happens because of that system, partially because of that system, which makes it extremely hard for people to own housing. And decoupling credit from income would be a good way to sort out this problem of homelessness. I'll be working on other solutions. Be patient. The other thing, these videos are short, so I can't go into detail about how the whole system will work. But if you have questions about it, please comment and I'll be able to explain. And thank you very much for listening to me. Enjoy and have a great time. See you in another 3 days. Thank you very much. And